Welcome to the stream. Today we're going to be building a complete smart wallet quick start repository using the Coinbase SDK on Base. In just 60 minutes, I will show you how to implement account abstraction, handle transactions, and sponsor gas fees. All the things that were missing from the official docs, we're going to be building today. So let's turn those docs into working code that you can actually use. Let's get started. I will share my screen. And let's head over to the docs. If you would like to see these docs were released in the past week on March 3rd. So 3 days ago, these docs were released by Coinbase. I love these docs. I've been a big fan of the smart wallet and I've wanted to be building on it in my own apps, but there has not been programmatic access. Coinbase now has these docs for anybody to build a smart wallet in any capacity or however you want to build it. The thing that it's missing is a repository I can clone from GitHub that allows me to get up and running using the smart wallets very easily. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to start with an intro. I've got my agenda written out here over in Cursor. Total time 60 minutes, 5 minutes of intro, 10 minutes of environment setup. Then we'll spend 15 minutes actually implementing the smart wallet. We'll then spend 15 minutes on transaction operations. We'll get testing. This is kind of our wiggle room, and then we'll close it out. If there's any questions, we'll spend a little bit of time on questions. We're on the intro right now. What's our time? We're at 1 minute 40 seconds. So we can do a little bit more review over here on the docs. Smart wallets. A smart wallet is an ERC 4337 compatible account abstraction wallet. The smart wallet API uses the same smart contract as the front-end SDK. This new feature is currently in beta. The wallet API supports creation of smart wallets as a back-end wallet, offering features like Paymaster for sponsoring gas and batch transactions. A smart wallet is a single address that works across EVM networks. For now, only Base Mainnet and Base Sepolia are supported. As we introduce new networks, existing smart wallets will have the same address and be automatically supported on any of those networks. A smart wallet has a single owner, which is the account backed by a private key that signs transactions for that wallet. Think of a private key as a password for a wallet. And so after that, we then get into creating the wallet. We get a code block showing how to generate a private key using the Coinbase SDK, getting the owner from that private key that we just generated, and then creating a smart wallet from the owner's private key. And so a smart wallet is a smart contract that is able to sign messages, hold funds, hold NFTs, anything you can do with a normal digital wallet or a digital account, you can do with a smart wallet. The difference is the smart wallet does not have a private key. The smart wallet has an owner, and the owner is an EOA that has a private key. And so you can do things like create wallets. You can send any sort of user operation. This is an ABI for interacting with a smart contract. And you can even see that we're batching transactions. This single call is sending out 2 transactions. One where it looks like it's sending some ETH, and then another where it's following an API to call some function, which means that we can batch transactions now, which is something I've really wanted to do to reduce having to get a bunch of transactions signed, just batch them all into one single call. It's going to make our code cleaner. It's going to make our execution on the front end faster, and overall just make building on chain way easier. Additionally, we get Paymaster support. And so all you need to do is add in the Paymaster URL, and then you can cover the gas fees from every transaction that's happening. This is great for companies like mine, where we as a company want to be sponsoring all the transactions that happen in the apps that I build. And so we can build these wallets, abstract them behind the scenes, and sponsor them with Paymaster so that we can make on-chain invisible and seamless while still preserving the fact that we're storing all this on-chain in a transparent and data secure way that allows all the data to be permanent for the apps that we're building. You can secure a smart wallet. It talks about how you save it. Looks like right now in this example, we're going to be writing it to a text file. This is something I really want to consider as the big point for building this into a business application. Saving this into a text file feels pretty insecure. So either I need to think of a safe way to be saving these text files, or I need to think through a different way to save the private key that I end up using to generate my account, as well as all the smart wallets. With that, let's move into the next session. Yeah, and then there's reinstantiating a smart wallet, and that's everything in the docs. I believe with that, we're at 5 minutes. Yep, and so let's get started with part 2, environment setup. First thing I'm going to do is I'll create the GitHub repository, then I'll initialize a new Node.js project locally. I'll install the necessary dependencies, VM, the Coinbase SDK. I don't think I'm going to need any testing utilities, and then TypeScript and the project structure. Let's get started by creating a GitHub repository. I'll head over to my GitHub account, Sweetman Tech. And from here, click the plus button to create a new repository. I will call this CDP Smart Wallets to signal that this is a quick start to using smart wallets by CDP on Base. It's going to be a public repo. I want everybody to be able to use this. Let's clone this locally. Got my terminal open. I'm already inside of my folder where I want to be storing these projects. And so all I need to do is git clone, paste my repo. I've cloned an empty repo, which is what I was expecting. And now I can cd or change directory into CDP Smart Wallets. Once we're here, we can run cursor./ to open the empty code base I've just created within Cursor, my AI IDE, which I'll be using to actually build out the project. From here, I'm going to send the environment setup instructions to Cursor. Could you please help me set up the basic project requirements? VM, Coinbase, I don't want testing utilities. I just want to get rid of these testing utilities. I'll do a little bit of formatting here. VM, Coinbase SDK. Here's the full docs I'll be following for the build. And let me also send the documentation, which again is linked in the QR code in the top left. If you want to find these docs, just scan that QR code I've got in the top left of the video, and it'll take you to the same docs I'm using. All right. Could you please help me set up the basic project? I've given it the requirements that Claude gave me. And now I've also given it the documentation from Coinbase Developer Platform. I've got it in agent mode, which is the mode that's going to allow it to do a lot of actions without me interfering. And let's send this out and see if it's able to create our basic project. First try, unable to reach Anthropic. It's always a great starting place. Still unable to reach Anthropic. Is my internet connection not working? Am I still live? Looks like I'm live, so I'll try it again. And one more time. Okay, it's not wanting to work right now. I'm going to copy this entire command. I'll fully exit out of Cursor. Let's go back into here, run cursor./ again. Try the old, turn it off, turn it back on, see if that works. Send this out again. We're having trouble reaching Anthropic. It might be temporary. I'm wondering right now if I should change the model to something else. I've been using Claude 3.7, but if we're getting issues on the model communicating with Anthropic, maybe I should. It looks like there's a Cursor update, so let's try updating Cursor to see if that might fix it. Was not expecting to update Cursor on this call, but that's what I'm doing right now. Jumping back, what we've already done is we gave an introduction to smart wallets on the Coinbase Developer Platform. We're now in environments. I've created the GitHub repo, and I'm working on initializing the project locally. My current blocker is I was not able to get Claude 3.7 working inside of Cursor, and so I am restarting Cursor. It looks like it's verifying the install, and we're updating Cursor to see maybe that fixes it. Okay. Looks like it's loading. I'm not seeing anything else telling me it's thinking, so I'm going to try executing this again. If this still doesn't work, I'll switch up the model. I'll try Claude 3.5 first, and if Claude 3.5 still doesn't work, I'll jump over to OpenAI. Claude 3.7 is not working right now. I'll try Claude 3.5 Sonnet. Let's try sending it again. It immediately starts working with Claude 3.5. And now we're going to get a basic Node.js project set up. First, it's going to create a package.json file with the required dependencies. Simple project. I don't know what Coinbase CBPay.js is. I don't know if that's a valid project or not. I'm going to delete this dependency for now. Smart wallet implementation using Coinbase SDK, CDP smart wallets. All this is looking good. Whole bunch of dev dependencies. Now we've got a TS config for TypeScript configuration, and then it'll set up a README so that we have everything that we need in here for running the project. Let's structure the basic project, and now it's going to write. My source folder, give me some services, give me some types, config services types and utils, and then it needs a basic entry point in index.js. Goodness, I love AI. Let's accept these changes. Right now, it's just going to do a console log, and then it'll create a git ignore so that it can ignore some files. It didn't make any changes, so I'll copy this and do it myself. Paste this, save it. Now we need to install dependencies. I'm going to use Command J to open up our bottom terminal. And you can use NPM if you'd like. I want to make it clear you can use NPM. I prefer to use pnpm, and so I'm going to say pnpm install. If you want to use NPM, just use NPM. It'll work fine. If you prefer yarn, use yarn install. If you prefer bun, use bun install. I've gotten some comments of people saying, I can't use pnpm because I'm on Windows and I'm a yada, yada, yada. If you can't use pnpm, just use npm. It's simple. I know that might be hard to understand if you're relatively new to dev, but pnpm, yarn, npm, bun, those are all package managers. You can pick whatever flavor you want, and this is still going to work for you. So I'll run pnpm I. That's going to install all of our packages. And then we need a .env file. So I'll go ahead and right-click new file .env. I don't know what we need inside of this. Oh, Coinbase API key when you have it. Okay, so we've now got a project. At this point, I'm going to try to run it and see if we get the log from our entry point function. And if we do, we can start to move on to the next parts of this app. These aren't being used. Delete those. We don't want any unused code sitting around. I've installed the packages. Please run the app. I'm going to try to communicate with chat as much as possible to build the app so that it's not me building it, but the app is actually building itself. Is it really a dev command? I see start and I see dev, so let's try dev. Let's see what happens. Using TS node, it looks like we just got our log, and then it should crash, but because we have it running as a server, I guess it's always going to stay there. And I wonder if I change this to hello world, if it will automatically update it. And then it looks like it's hot loading, which is sick. I've never been able to figure out how to do this, and Cursor just figured it out. Anytime I make a change, it'll hot refresh the server. And so we now have a server that is running. Let's go ahead and push these changes, open up our first pull request, and get something shipped. What I'll do is I will go over to my tab, and let's check out a branch. Check out to new branch, sweetmentech/init. Head is not connected, cannot be created. I don't know what happened there. So I'll do it from here, git checkout -b sweetmentech/init. Now we're now on that branch. Add everything, initial commit. We don't need our lock file. Oh, I guess we do. We'll keep our lock file in there. Everything else looks good. Commit it, publish the branch. Let's go to our browser, go to GitHub. We should still have an empty repo. I've accidentally made it so that we now have a Sweetman Tech init branch. That was my fault. Okay, git checkout -b main. Git pull origin main is not going to exist. And from here, I want to get branch -m main, which should hopefully make my main branch main. And now I'll get push origin main. And hopefully this switches us back to using main as our main branch. I still see Sweetman Tech init, but I also see a main branch. That was a silly mistake. Let's change our default branch to main, update it. I understand. And we've already shipped this in. So now if we go back, we've now got our base repo. We've got the README. We've got steps to install. It looks like there might be some environment files I'm going to need, but we have set up our environment. We should hopefully be at 15 minutes or less. We're at 16 minutes, so we're right on time. Let's go ahead and start with our smart wallet implementation. We're now going to go step by step through these docs. So I'm going to copy this. Please help me. Okay, so actually what I want to do is I want to cursor rules. Because I always use cursor rules in my build, I would like this project to also use cursor rules. Cursor rules help me to teach the AI what its personality is, so that way it can be smarter when it's implementing changes. I'll pull from Recoup in Recoup chat. Actually, Recoup agent APIs, because this is also a Node.js project. Cursor.slash to open that up, and I'm only opening this up so that I can copy the cursor rules. So I'll go down into my .cursor rules. Let's copy this entire file. I don't need this anymore, so I'll close it out. Also close out of this terminal to have one less terminal running, and I don't need this terminal either. And so inside of our cursor rules, I'll paste this. I should now be able to delete everything that's inside of the scratch pad because this is all from earlier, scratch pad. We've got a whole bunch of cursor rules. I'm going to delete all these because these are all related to a different project. You can see it's been learning a lot. And I'm just going to leave this simple. Just a simple command, and then you have a node env and .env, use it. Read the file before you try to edit it. Include info useful for debugging in the program output. Don't need that. We don't have any of these tools, so let's delete the tools section. And this should be my cursor rules. We first say instructions during your interactions. If you have anything reusable, please add it to your lesson section. We also give them a scratch pad so that the AI can think before it acts. The only other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say new file roadmap.md. And this is going to be my roadmap file. This is where I define the tasks that I want it to do. So like step 1, creating a smart wallet. So I'll just make one little checkbox, P1, because I label my tasks with priorities. It's a habit. Yada, 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 yada. Copy this, paste it there. Let's boop, 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 boop. Now we've got our code example, save that. And we've got our step 1. So now I'm going to tell it, please prepare your scratch pad for step 1. And I need to add the context of roadmap. And we send this off and see if it can do it. And once it does, I'm going to try flipping it over to Claude 3.7 again. Edit the file. Go ahead and edit. That's fine. It is going to try to update its Scratchpad to plan out what work it's going to need to do. This already exists, so I don't know why it's going to create it again. It's going to try to write to the file again. No changes are being made. Difficulties, update, Scratchpad in @.cursorrules. I find Cursor has issues sometimes. It'll tell it, hey, I'm making a change, and then it doesn't actually make the change. It's not all the time, but it does happen regularly. Still not changing anything. Is it giving me stuff down here? All right, it was not able to do it, so I'm going to manually update. I'm going to copy everything in the Scratchpad section, and I will make the change for the AI, because the AI couldn't figure out how to modify the doc. Save this, and now I'll review this. Let's see what it's thinking. Task, implement the foundation for creating and managing using VM, for key management in the Coinbase SDK, implementation plan, basic setup and configuration, create a configuration layer for environment variables and add configuration types, set up the wallet service structure, define the interface for wallet operations, and then the core implementation. It seems like it might be doing everything. So I'm just going to have it continue. I'll have it proceed. Please proceed. Proceed with phase 1. It's doing a little bit extra with these configs. I wouldn't have done these personally. And so I'm glad that the AI can do it so that I don't need to. I don't know if these things are correct, these types. I would have expected these types to have been included in the Coinbase SDK. We load environment variables, Coinbase config, wallet config, and then we return. I'm confused why we need to load environment variables like this, but we'll let it continue to go. Process.env. Now let's create the implementation. We already did that. Now we've got a wallet service. We're pulling in things from VM and our config, wallet data, wallet service, storage key, generate an owner account, store wallet data, private key to account, return the account, store wallet data, get wallet data is not being used. These don't feel like the same commands I'm telling it to do. So I'm feeling thrown off. This is too complex. Make it simpler to follow the requirements in @roadmap. For step 1, Scratchpad first. And I'm going to try changing it to 3.7 Sonnet again to see if it works now. It looks like Cloud 3.7 is working right. Now it's going to try to update the Scratchpad. It'll go back into its cursor rules. It's still not making any changes, which is concerning. Like, The update should be quite simple. Simple wallet file. Generate private key to account. And smart wallet address is not correct, but it's just doing its thing. Now we just want wallet. We want this to be used in the main index. I don't actually think we need all the complexity of these additional folders. Let's accept this file. Create wallet. Smart wallet created, owner address, smart wallet address, private key, never logged this in production. And now it wants us to run it again. I'm going to go ahead and I think I'm going to be deleting all this extra stuff. I'm just going to do it now because I don't want architecture just for architecture's sake. Let's delete all those. And let's try running npm dev again. Let's see what happens. Creating owner account, we've gotten the smart wallet was created successfully. Initializing CDP smart wallet, private key, and then it logged out our private key and our smart wallet address. I'm surprised it was able to work because I haven't given it any sort of generate private key is from VM account. Okay, so we're not actually using the CDP SDK here. Generate private key is coming from VM. Private key to account is also coming from VM, and then create smart wallet is the first thing that's coming from the Coinbase SDK. So we're just generating a random private key right now. Cancel and resume. It looks like the app was working, so it should hopefully confirm down here that it was able to create an account. And once it verifies, we'll move on to the next step of actually creating the smart wallet. We've successfully, so it's verified that its implementation is working. It looks like it stopped talking. Still missing smart wallet creation defined in at roadmap. Scratchpad first. It looks like it's getting itself stuck. Continue. Because it says, let me first, and it stopped thinking. Like, why did you stop thinking? I'll continue by updating the implementation to include smart wallet creation. First, let me update the Scratchpad. Yes, please do. But then I don't see it continuing to think. Are you stuck? Seeing bugs with Claude 3.7 today. Maybe to just keep the bugs out, I go back down to Claude 3.5 Sonnet. But I found 3.5 Sonnet was writing a whole bunch of extra code I didn't want it to write. Meanwhile, 3.7 seemed more focused and intelligent to understand the changes I wanted it to make. It's back to unable to reach Anthropic. Let's go down to 3.5 Sonnet. Are you stuck? We'll ask the same question. Update the Scratchpad. We need to do with the Coinbase SDK, yada, yada, shown in roadmap. Are you actually going to update your Scratchpad is the question. No changes being made. Why aren't, yeah, okay, it understands it didn't make any changes. Now it's going to get the same new line error. And then is it just going to skip it? Okay, it's going to skip it. Fine. Seems like we're not going to be using our Scratchpad today, so I'm going to stop trying to tell it to use the Scratchpad so that we're not repeating the same loop. We're now importing the Coinbase SDK. It looks like we can't find it right now. And then we add on the create smart wallet, and then we return the smart wallet address. Okay, is this correct? Let's make sure we're importing this from the correct place from the docs. Create smart wallet should be coming from Coinbase SDK, which we don't have installed. And I'll install it with pnpmi and then our package name. Let's stop. I'm going to stop the AI because the AI actually seems to be slowing me down right now. I'm going to go into just coding this myself because this should be a relatively straightforward app. And right now it's starting to slow us down by trying to use the AI. Okay, we installed the package. Let's try running it with pnpm dev, and that's going to run our service. We should hopefully see everything getting logged now. Wallet SDK has no exported. Where are you? Oh, I didn't save this changes. It's my bad. I'm hoping it tells me I don't have an API key. There we go. We need to register API key, and it's looking for Coinbase.configure or configure from JSON. We need an API key name and a private key. So let's get our API key. We'll go to the portal, click the link, and I'll create a new set of keys. And it's looking for Coinbase.configure from JSON. Now that we're in the Coinbase developer platform, we'll go over to API keys. I've got some keys that I marked as delete from last time, and I can delete those now. Delete Eliza, yada, yada. They'll create a new one. Delete CDP smart wallets. Create and download. And now we've got our API key ID. Let's open up ENV. Let's open up ENV. Coin. I don't remember what these key names are. Where else have I saved them before? I think I've got another GitHub repository where I would have put these in a .env.example. Let's see if I do have a repo like that that might help me with naming sub-account starter. This should be a good example. And then instead of here, do we have an ENV example? I don't see an ENV example. Next public paymaster URL. Look at .env.template file and maybe inside of app. Not even in here. So this is probably not the repo I was looking for. Coinbase SDK Node.js might be. Let's try going into the quick start template. Do they have an environment variable reference? No ENV reference in here either. Where is an example? Probably inside of Recoup, inside of our agent APIs. Recoupable / recoup agent APIs. I believe inside of here, I've got an ENV example, and I still am not seeing Coinbase keys. So instead of trying to find it, I'm just going to copy these and try to make Coinbase API key equals that. And then secret, CDP, what do they call it? Just secret, CDP secret equals that. CDP, I'll call it CDP API key ID. So now we've got API key ID and a secret. I'm going to copy this to make an env.example. .env.example. So that way people will know the environment variable structure I'm using. And I'll delete my reference, my actual values from the example. And so now the question is, how can I actually use this? It's telling us, view the docs, docs welcome, let's try opening this. Do they tell us in this doc how I can set it up? I'm not seeing it. Developers, Coinbase, developer managed. I'm just looking for where can I find a quick example for adding the ENV variables. Coinbase .configure, and then we've got API key ID and secret. Configure its API key name and private key. Okay, it doesn't like that it's string or undefined, so I'll just add the exclamation mark and the exclamation mark. And this should be private key. And now we should be loading it. Let's try checking down here. Failed to create wallet. I'm going to crash it and run it again. Okay, we're still getting the error. What's it not liking? API error. I'm unsure of what the error is. So I'm just trying to initialize the Coinbase SDK. Is there a getting started guide? Welcome, quick start. Node install, creating a wallet, Coinbase. Okay, here we go. API key name, API key private key. We should just be able to paste it like this. Get rid of these curly braces, and we'll just throw in both of my parameters, both of my variables. Expected one argument, but got two. Coinbase.configure, and then we pass in key name and private key. I'm calling it exactly as they have laid it out inside of their docs. So either their docs are incorrect or I am on an incorrect version of, the CDP SDK. I'm remembering that they have a new version. Base name trading, where's the sub accounts? There should be a sub accounts. Sub account. Why am I looking for the sub accounts? Sub accounts showed me a special version of the CDP SDK. Sub accounts, there it is. Let's go over here. Spend permissions, what your build, project setup, creating sub accounts, signer choice, create Coinbase wallet SDK. But this is all front end stuff. I wanted it on the back end. How do I successfully set up the CDP SDK on the server side? Like, what's a quick start? Node, npm install, git clone. And then it says I should be using coinbase.configure just like this, API key name and API private key. It's exactly what I'm doing, but it's saying we're passing in too many variables. So they did have a special version. I'm remembering that, sub accounts. So let me go back to the base docs and see if I can find specifically what they're installing. We'll go to project setup, latest app, here it is, Coinbase Wallet SDK Canary. It's using Wallet SDK, but I'm using Coinbase SDK. So those are two different packages. So I guess we are not talking about the same thing over here. My main question is how I initialize this. It seems like we need to go back to how it was defined before. And so my question is, why isn't this working? Restarting, we're creating created owner with that address, and then we get an API error. And it's saying Axios error, create smart wallet is throwing an error with no messaging to help us understand. So I'm wondering if I've just reached the end of what I can do without more help from the Coinbase team. Recently, I've been frustrated at the development experience on Coinbase. I've been going live every day, and each time I try to follow the Coinbase docs, I'm finding that I'm not able to actually get to the end of building an app. And so what I'm going to be requesting from Coinbase is that their tech is more robust and actually works out of the box. This doc is not telling me anything about how I can set up the API keys. Coinbase is being referenced here, but it's never being used. Are we importing it in the same way? Coinbase, we are. And we should also be pulling create smart wallet. Let's move it into here. Let's take what we're defining for Coinbase init. Let's move this into the wallet to keep it more consistent. So inside here, let's go. Now we're importing them both from the wallet SDK, but we're still getting null. So I need some help from the Coinbase team to help me understand, what am I doing wrong here? Am I initializing it incorrectly? Am I using the create smart wallet method incorrectly? Or do I need to use a different version of the Coinbase SDK? Right now I am using version 0.21.0. Let's check if there's any later versions that I could be installing. Let's check if there's a more recent version that might have the latest packages that I'm looking for. It looks like latest is 0.21.0. I'm on 0.21.0, so I am on the latest version of the Coinbase SDK. And in here, it does say the same method that I'm using. Configure. Use server signing. Maybe I need server signing. Let's try adding that into my config, going back to the wallet file. It's the same thing, just with server signing. Let's try this one. Restarting, and we're still getting the error. So I'm having trouble figuring out how to use the simple quick start that Coinbase provided on how to create the smart wallet SDK docs. Yeah. So instead of wasting more time trying to figure this out, I'm going to end this live stream and I'm going to send the video over to the Coinbase team to try to debug what I did wrong. And hopefully I'll be coming back very soon with another video showing you how to actually build on smart wallets using the Coinbase SDK. For now, let's stop sharing. Did we get any comments? No comments. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm not even going to ask you to like, because this was not a successful video, but thank you for tuning in.